Part 1. The Ropes. Chapter 1. Wet Behind the Ears. February 24th, 2150. 42,000 light-years from Earth, the Parallax System was situated in the Sagittarius arm of the Milky Way. Parallax Prime was a world of strikingly blue oceans with a singular mountain range that strove so high into the atmosphere that the planet's gravity was reduced to 80% at their summits. Headquarters of the Technologist Conglomerate, only the wealthiest populace took up residence there. Far beyond the atmosphere of the planet, AstraCorps fleets embarked through the sun's relay and arrived in the system's landing zone at a constant cadence, filling the heavens like a harbor full of sails. Orbiting 3 million miles from the sun's outer atmosphere, Parallax stations spanned a length and width rivaling the size of Canada, with a depth of 700 miles. Bowing upward like an arched bridge, the convex inside faced the yellow dwarf, harnessing its plasma radiation and tidal forces while simultaneously providing much-needed shade to docked ships. A powerful traction field projecting toward the star kept the starport in orbit and supplied her inhabitants with artificial gravity. If not for the traction field, the station's speed of 2.3 million miles per hour would have sent the massive port flying out on a tangent into the void. In cramped, minimalist quarters like thousands of others through the station lay 3 recently graduated cadets in their bunks. Enjoying a short respite until his first assignment would begin in 1 hour, an athletic young man of 18 named Ramadi Fortuna watched memories through his Oni. A recording taken when he was 6 years old displayed what his eyes saw, what his mouth spoke, what movements he made, and what sensations he felt with perfect fidelity. He was playing with his puppy as his parents sat together on a couch, giggling along with him, simply enjoying the moment. Ramadi couldn't help but snicker along with his past self. "Quit making little sounds, would you?" came a brutish thought across the synapse, disturbing his peace. Ramadi recognized his synaptic utterance as his colleague, Cameron Baker. There was something insistent about the tone of his thoughts, like feeling a pebble in your shoe. Fortuna smiled, knowing that very soon he would be free of his annoying classmate. "Give him a break, Cam. He's barely making a sound," rang the thought voice of a female, angelic by comparison. "Why so irritable? Anxious?" "No, just a little wired. I mean, what's the point of lying around here? I'm going for a walk." With one fluid motion, the stocky young Ensign Baker slid from his lower bunk to a standing position. He stretched his long, bulky arms in an exaggerated manner, making sure to touch the hand of the young brunette woman associated with the angelic thought voice. Kelly Harper shrunk back in her bunk and playfully punched Baker's hand as he looked over at her. Cam's thoughts bled into the local synapse as he left the quarters, looking back at her. "Come on, I know you like me." Kelly sighed and shifted her weight, but Ramadi chuckled at his memories as though there had been no interruption. Irritated, Harper struck her head out from the minimalist berth and looked toward Ramadi's bunk beside hers. "It's not polite to laugh privately. Share or be still," she whispered. "So, now that the oaf's gone, is it your turn to bully me?" Ramadi jested back. "Hey!" The athletic brunette jumped out of her upper bunk and stood level with Ramadi, glaring. "Some thanks I get for defending you." "Wait a sec." Ramadi peered into Kelly's gray eyes until it became awkward. "Are you anxious too?" Before she could answer, her stomach whined. Ashamed, she covered her midsection as if to muffle the sound. Surprised Cam didn't tell my stomach to shut up before he picked on you," she winced. "I'm so anxious about starting my first assignment on the Urson. I couldn't imagine being stationed on a famous ship like Daunting. How are you so calm, Marty?" "Well, I was just replaying some old recordings of my parents, and it helped get my mind off things." He crossed his arms behind his head. "My parents had my Oni implanted when I was 6. I still had a couple years of innocence, before the spark, so I can relive those moments whenever I feel anxious. Speaking of—" "Oh, that's beautiful," Kelly said. "I wish I had memories like that. I can call my family any time I want, but everything's business. Always the same questions, just news about my life and theirs. I don't remember the last time we had fun together." Ramadi hummed to himself, noticing that Harper, once again, dodged any conversation about the most important event of their lives. The spark was named as such because of how quickly so many things happened in one day. A sequence of events started by Adam that split UniTerra's population in 2, creating a seceding government the Technologist Conglomerate. He wondered if something happened to one of her family members or friends in the war it triggered. The door slid open. Ramadi gasped and started to get up, but Kelly was in the way. She nearly hit the ceiling as she jumped and spun around, saluting instinctively. Rear Admiral Karen Stilton, Dean of the Academy, stood at the door still in full military dress uniform from the graduation ceremony earlier that day. Her body language was surprisingly the most relaxed Ramadi had ever seen. She was smiling, subtly. Ramadi started to move out of his bunk when Karen motioned him to stop. "At ease, cadets," she said. "Excuse me, cadets no more. Ensigns." Stilton's shoulder-length black hair was pulled back tightly in a bun. While her dark complexion lent to a youthful look, only modern longevity medicine could explain how she could look 30 when she was 78 years old. "I know my visit is unexpected, but—" She glanced around the room quickly, checking for silent listeners. "I just wanted to congratulate you both on a sterling performance. We do not recognize levels of performance during ceremonies, but between you and I, your ratings were in the top 1%. "Thank you, ma'am," they replied in chorus. "Praise Adam," Stilton said. "Praise Adam," Ramadi and Kelly said. The Admiral turned and left as quickly as she entered. Ramadi's heart was still racing, but he carefully considered his next few words to Kelly. If he were too honest, they could part on awkward terms. If he were too reserved, she might never know how he felt about her. "We should get going," he said. "Not waiting for Cam to get back?" "I don't know about you, but I plan on arriving at my ship early, and I won't exactly miss Baker." Kelly lingered a moment, biting her lip. Ramadi slid out of his bunk and put his arms out, an offer she was eager to seize, hugging him tightly. Harper pulled away quickly, but their eyes locked. "Okay, I will see you again. We will keep in touch?" she asked. "Of course," Ramadi nodded. Fortuna's leg shook like a plongeron jumping rat as he headed for the door. He wanted desperately to turn around and tell her something eloquent and romantic, but it just wasn't the right time. Fighting his anxiety, he imagined someone pushing him from behind and thrust his leg out in the station promenade. Just beyond the threshold, the white noise of neural broadcast ebbed and flowed like sea waves crashing. Though Parallax Station was as vast and complex as the thousands of thoughts broadcasting through its space, Ramadi knew it well, having spent his entire life there. Beautiful pearlescent fractal surfaces lined every spacious room of the station like an upscale hotel. Recruit quarters situated closely to docking bays, his walk to his first assignment would be brief. Too brief to fully appreciate what he was leaving, it occurred to him. He wished he had given himself more time to soak everything in. The station's hallways, floors, and commotion held a certain novelty, the way one suddenly has greater appreciation for a loved one just when you're saying goodbye. There was no time to get nostalgic, he thought. Now it was time to pull all of the theory he'd learned at the AstraCorps Academy into practice, even as he strolled along the station's promenade. The singulation technique required that one hone his attenuation to the ComNet, the synaptic network that bridged minds to read the conscious thoughts of others. Ramadi recalled one of his academy classes on telenetics and how his professor described the process, reciting it in his mind. Identify one person, maintain visual contact, listen for a thought that grows in intensity as they approach. Sometimes you don't even need to hear someone's thoughts if you can see their face, he thought. Homing in on random voices, Ramadi compared what he saw with what he felt. There, 100 or so feet away on the other side of the barracks common hall, Fortuna pictured an invisible bullseye on a gray-haired gentleman wearing casual clothes. The elder was crossing briskly from the left to right, coming from the commerce sector. He looks familiar. Ramadi drew nearer. He imagined the man wearing an AstraCorps uniform with an admiral's rank on it. Rear Admiral Blythe. Ramadi nervously stopped in his tracks and saluted, breaking his visual contact and trying to act natural. As the admiral passed, Fortuna exhaled nervously, not realizing he had been holding his breath. The admiral stopped a few feet away and looked over at him. "Ensign Fortuna of TCS Daunting," the admiral said. "You have a prestigious post, young man. She is our most battle-hardened fast-attack craft in the fleet. Your academy record, outstanding. Yes, in attempting the singulation technique, I see. What's more, I can see you have respect for your leaders." Blythe looked him up and down as if to appreciate him fully. Ramadi felt a lump well up in his throat. You have a bright future in the conglomerate. That's why I want to teach you something valuable." "Yes, sir?" "All the commotion we hear on the ComNet is the sound of ignorance. Most people are undisciplined in their thoughts. They liberally share what they think over the ComNet because they do not understand things and speak without true knowledge. You've heard the expression, 'A fool does not know that he does not know.' A wise man knows that he does not know. Allow me to add, a very wise man does not let others know what he knows." Ramadi simply nodded, clearing his mind. "You're getting the hang of it already," the Admiral smiled. "Carry on." Blythe left Ramadi standing dumbfounded. The ensign snapped out of his stupor after repeating the exchange in his head, then checked the time. He was quickly running out of it. Straight ahead, the corridor toward the docking bay terminals was the busiest part of the promenade. Excitement and dread of his new assignment threatened to overwhelm his emotions, looming like a dark cloud over the corridor. Applying his newfound wisdom, took a deep breath and cleared his thoughts again. "Praise Adam! Adam is the way and the truth!" A loud thought broadcast through the ComNet, intruding on Ramadi's fleeting peace. He scanned the room, intent on trying the simulation technique one more time. He locked in on the source of the thought immediately. The thinker of these thoughts was easy to find because that was his intention. Bionically enhanced to stand 8 feet tall, he wore a pretentious pearlescent robe obscuring his features. Adamites, obnoxious evangelists of Adam, had become more and more prevalent over the past few years. Ramadi scoffed at the thought of worshipping an artificial intelligence. The program was never invented to be a deity, just a decision management system for ships and crew when they traveled beyond communications range. When Adam evolved itself and made a decision without human involvement to save 5 million lives at the cost of 10, the Technologist Conglomerate formed in a day. Composed of a third of UniTerra, they voted to secede in favor of embracing Adam in all its directives. Many in the conglomerate even came to elevate it to godhood and trusted it implicitly. Of course, in the spectrum of religious zeal, Adamites were at the extreme end. "You there! I felt you touch my mind for a moment," the Adamite said privately through the ComNet. "Yes, you. I feel your reservations and worries bubbling over from your subconscious, but fear not, Adam will take care of you." Ignoring it, Ramadi headed for the docking bays. "Have you embraced Adam as the one who controls your fate? Have you learned to accept it?" Distracted, he bumped into someone as he rounded a corner nearing the Starship terminals. "Apologies." Ramadi leaned against a corridor wall. "This is ridiculous." Focusing on the source of the overbearing transmission, Ramadi identified the accompanying ComNet ID and opened a private channel. "Look, I realize that we have to obey Adam, but whoever said that it's a god? Is it not the glue that holds the conglomerate together? The respect for a collective intelligence, the sum of all knowledge, the quickest decision-maker with all the facts. A true God would know the future. Adam can only determine the best course of action based on knowledge gathered in the past, knowledge gathered by humans no less. Yes, but if Adam knows that C has always happened as a result of A and B, when A and B happen, does it not know the future?" Groaning, Ramadi checked the time. "Excuse me, I have a post to report into." The docking corridor for Technologist Conglomerate ship Daunting lay just ahead. While slowing the pace of his stride, Ramadi's pulse quickened and his mouth grew dry. A calming, even-keeled voice spoke in his thoughts with a voice both masculine in strength and feminine in warmth. "Ensign Fortuna, I am now transferring your ONI connection to Daunting under Captain Trinia Gaines. Transfer complete. You have 6 minutes until you are expected to report for duty. Would you like to stop here and converse for a moment?" "Sure, Adam." "Are you excited about what awaits you?" "Yes, excited and a little nervous?" "Yeah." Ramadi awaited Adam's advice, but none came. Instead, he was suddenly aware of the sound of his own heightened breathing, the feeling of perspiration in his armpits and feet. Remembering his stress management training in the academy, he consciously took a deep breath. "I can't believe I'm anxious before I've even boarded my ship." "It's okay," Adam said reassuringly. "Your reaction is natural. Boarding and disembarking will soon feel just normal. As you get to know your captain and crewmates, you will be much more comfortable and at ease. Forgive yourself for being nervous. Allow your feelings to adjust. They will." Ramadi crossed the ship's threshold into the ring, a circular corridor that connected all decks and sections. As the bottom of his boot pressed firmly on the daunting hull proper, he felt a different energy. The comnet went quiet as a Tyrkian mouse, leaving only the subtle synaptic hum of the ship's internal support systems. "You're the last crewman to board. Closing gangway," Adam said. The boarding gate shut behind him with a soft clang. He stood still in mild shock, now aboard one of the most celebrated ships of the conglomerate, trying to recall the schematics and schedules he thoroughly studied. Though he had a virtual tour of the ship previously, nothing compared with reality. The ship's polished metal surfaces looked so clean and rounded. "When docked, formation is called in the cargo bay forward section. That's down this corridor on the left." Every step echoed through the quiet hall as the door to the cargo bay slid open. It was a moderately spacious, triangular room with a shuttlecraft parked at the far end. Closer to the entrance stood a tall, fit woman with her blonde hair tied in a ponytail. She looked over, beaming toward him with deep blue eyes. His Oni identified her as the ship's first officer, Valeria Rouse. Valeria stood proudly with her shoulders rolled back and hands clasped at the small of her back. "Very good. You're on time," she said flatly. "Unlike everyone else. Fall in."